Italian modal verbs, verbi modali, also called verbi servili in Italian. These are special verbs that help other verbs. Modal verbs indicate the necessity, possibility, or desire to do something. The three main modal verbs in Italian are potere, can or be able to, potere, which expresses ability or permission. Dovere, must or have to, dovere, which expresses obligation or necessity, and volere, to want, which expresses desire. Modal verbs are extremely useful in everyday situations. By learning these three verbs, you unlock a quick formula to make many sentences. Conjugated modal verb plus infinitive of main verb. What is this? We're gonna see it together. This means after you conjugate potere, dovere, or volere, you directly attach an infinitive, or in other words, an unconjugated verb to express what someone can, has to, or wants to do. For example, in English we say I can eat. Similarly, in Italian, io posso mangiare, where posso is the conjugated form of potere, and mangiare, to eat, remains in the infinitive. Modal verbs are irregular in the present tense, so their forms must be memorized. But once you know them, you can pair them with lots of infinitives to communicate many ideas. Throughout this lesson, we'll cover each modal verb's present tense forms, explain how to use them, give examples in everyday context, and provide practice exercises. Andiamo, let's go. Potere, essentially the equivalent of the English can or may. Use potere when saying someone can or is able to do something or is allowed to do something. It's often used to ask for permission or to talk about what's possible. Conjugation of potere, presente indicativo. Potere is irregular in the present tense. Io posso, I can. Io posso. Tu puoi, you can, informal singular. Lui, lei può, he or she can. Noi possiamo, we can. Voi potete, you all can. Loro possono, they can. Notice the accent on può, third person singular. Lui può or lei può. Using potere in sentences. When using potere, you conjugate it according to the subject, then add an infinitive verb directly after it. For example, posso entrare means can I come in? Posso is potere conjugated for io, I, and entrare means to enter. Some common uses of potere include talking about ability, being able to do something, and permission, being allowed or asking politely. Examples. Puoi venire al cinema stasera? Can you come to the movie theater tonight? No, non posso venire stasera. No, I can't come tonight. Here, non before posso makes it negative. Cannot. Non posso. Cannot. Posso avere un bicchiere d'acqua, per favore? May I have a glass of water, please? A polite request. Mi puoi aiutare? Can you help me? Literally, you can help. This is an informal way to ask for help. In questions, Italian often doesn't require a special word order. You can simply use a rising intonation or a question mark. For example, puoi aiutarmi is a direct way to ask. Can you help me? Note, potere in the present can translate to may when asking for permission. For instance, posso usare il tuo telefono means may I use your phone? A polite request. In everyday Italian, just using posso, can I, is a common way to ask permission. Dovere, to have to or must. Here we are expressing obligation or necessity, similar to must or have to or need to in English. If something is required or someone is obliged to do something, you'd use dovere. It can also mean to owe when used with a direct object. For example, ti devo 5 euro, I owe you 5 euros. But its primary use for beginners is to talk about obligations. Conjugation of dovere, presente indicativo. Io devo, I must, I have to. Tu devi, lui, lei deve. Noi dobbiamo, voi dovete, e loro devono. Remember that if you are talking in the formal form, you can also use lei deve. We did it already in other video classes. Lei deve, normally used with a capital L, it also means you must, but formally. Lei deve. Note, dovere has a double BB in noi dobbiamo. Use dovere to talk about things that need to be done or obligations. Devo studiare. I have to study. Maria deve lavorare oggi. Maria has to work today. Dobbiamo andare adesso. We have to go now. Noi is optional. You can also say noi dobbiamo andare adesso. Devi fare i compiti. You must do your homework. Literally, you have to do the homework, often said to kids. Devi lavorare domani? Do you have to work tomorrow? Question form, just raising the intonation or adding a question mark. Devi lavorare domani? Devi lavorare domani? Ok? Non dobbiamo dimenticare le chiavi. We must not forget the keys. Negative form. Non dobbiamo. Cultural note, when dovere is used with a noun, not with an infinitive verb, it means to owe. For example, ti devo un caffè. I owe you a coffee. But when followed by a verb in infinitive, it means must or have to. Devo comprare il caffè. I have to buy the coffee. Volere, to want. Use volere when talking about things people want or when someone is willing or unwilling to do something. It's a very common verb for everyday needs and wishes. Conjugation of volere, presente indicativo. Io voglio, I want. Io voglio. Tu vuoi, you want, informal. Lui, lei vuole, or lei vuole, to say you want formally. Ok? Lui, lei vuole, he or she wants, but also lei vuole with a capital L, you want formally. Noi vogliamo, we want. Voi volete, you want, you all want, plural. Loro vogliono, they want. Notice the stem change from volere to voglio. Voglio, io voglio. How to use volere in sentences. Voglio un gelato. I want an ice cream. Volere plus noun. Voglio imparare l'italiano. I want to learn Italian. Volere plus infinitive. Vuoi un caffè? Do you want a coffee? Cosa vuoi fare stasera? What do you want to do tonight? Vogliamo visitare Roma. We want to visit Rome. Non vogliono aspettare. They don't want to wait. In Italian, using volere in the present tense, voglio is a strong, direct way to express want. For requests or ordering in a polite way, Italians often use the conditional form vorrei. I would like, instead of voglio, I want. For example, at a cafe, it's more polite to say vorrei un caffè, per favore. I would like a coffee, please. rather than voglio un caffè. However, among friends and in casual situations, voglio is perfectly fine for expressing what you want. Note, volere can also appear in idiomatic expressions like vuole dire, literally he wants to say, meaning it means, but as a beginner, focus on the basic want meaning. Let's talk a little bit about word order and negation with modal verbs. Italian modal verbs follow normal Italian sentence structure. Typically, the subject, which can be omitted if it's clear already, comes first. Then the conjugated modal verb, and then any other verbs or objects. Io devo uscire. I must leave. Subject io can be dropped, so just devo uscire. Voi potete venire domani. You all can come tomorrow. Marco vuole una bicicletta nuova. Marco wants a new bicycle. To make a sentence negative, simply put non in front of the conjugated modal verb. Non posso dormire. I cannot sleep. Non vogliamo perdere il treno. We don't want to miss the train. Non deve preoccuparsi. He or she must not worry. Or doesn't have to worry, depending on the context. Italian does not use extra words like do for negation, just non plus the verb does the job. For questions, as mentioned earlier, you typically use a normal statement word order with a questioning tone or a question mark in writing. For yes-no questions, you do not swap the subject and the verb as in English. For example, puoi guidare simply translates to can you drive, literally you can drive. If you need to clarify the subject, you could ask tu puoi guidare, but usually the verb form already indicates the subject. Question words who, what, why, and so on come at the beginning. For example, quando dobbiamo partire? When do we have to leave? Let's put these modal verbs into a short, realistic dialogue to see them in context. Scenario: two friends talking about plans. Anna: vuoi uscire stasera? Bruno: mi dispiace, non posso, devo studiare per un esame domani. Anna: capisco, io invece devo lavorare fino a tardi, però domani è sabato, voglio andare al cinema. Bruno: oh, domani posso venire. Voglio proprio vedere quel film. In this dialogue, you can see vuoi, you want in a question. Non posso, I can't in an answer. Devo, I must or I have to for obligations. And voglio, I want for desires. These modal verbs help the speakers negotiate plans by expressing what they can or cannot do, have to do, or want to do. Vocabulary note: mi dispiace means I'm sorry to hear that, and capisco means I understand. Now it's your turn to practice using potere, dovere, and volere. Translate the following sentences into Italian using the correct present tense form of the appropriate modal verb. I can speak Italian. 3, 2, 1. Posso parlare italiano. We want to go to Italy. 3, 2, 1. Vogliamo andare in Italia. Or noi vogliamo andare in Italia. Maria has to work today. 3, 2, 1. Maria deve lavorare oggi. Do you, informal, do you want a coffee? 3, 2, 1. Tu vuoi un caffè? I don't want to go out tonight. 3, 2, 1. Non voglio uscire stasera. Can we come in? 3, 2, 1. Possiamo entrare? Do Marco and Anna have to study tonight? 3, 2, 1. Marco e Anna devono studiare stasera? Benissimo. Keep practicing by making your own sentences about what you and others can, must, or want to do in everyday life. Modal verbs will quickly expand your ability to communicate in italiano. Buono studio! Ciao ciao!